Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Write With Me at IELTS Juice. We have a report today, and then here's the rubric. It says, the graph below shows the number of shops that closed and the number of new shops that opened in one country between 2011 and 2018. So, first things first. Both years are in the past, and that means we are going to use past simple. So let's say goodbye to all the other tenses. I'm going to put it over here as a reminder, and I want you to also do the same thing. I want you to always be reminded, physically remind yourselves that you need to write the majority of your sentences in past simple. Honestly, apart from the very first sentence that might be present simple, and we say the chart here, in this case, it's a line chart. The line chart shows blah, blah. Apart from the very first sentence, all other sentences that I am going to write will be in past simple. So that part is done. Now let's look at the visual. It's a line chart. I'm going to devote my very first sentence to this. And here I am going to say, okay, what type of visual it is. It's a line chart. And there are two lines. There are ups and downs, all right. There is the dashed one is all the openings, and the solid one is all closures. How are we going to address that? I think in either scenario, we're going to need two body paragraphs. So I'm going to put two body paragraphs, and I'm going to introduce two different scenarios. We have the line chart that shows the number of shops closing down and opening in 2 years, 2011 and 2018. In which country? We don't know. It's just in one country. You can say in a country. That would make up your first sentence. Then we need an overview. Now, I'm going to start with a simple approach. Imagine this overview. We are going to say that, well, both lines have fluctuated a lot over these years, but the amount of fluctuation for closures was higher than the openings. That can be one overview. And if you look at the visual, you can already see that the difference between the highest point for closures and the lowest point is more than the same up and down for openings. Now, based on my overview, I'm going to devote two body paragraphs. One body paragraph is going to be about the closures, because I said here that the closure fluctuation was higher than openings fluctuation. This one will be about closure. This one is going to be about openings. And in the end, I can say that although at the beginning of this period, the number of openings was higher, in the end, the number of closures was higher than openings. If you look at 2011 and check it with 2018 figures. I'm going to put it there. That would basically be my entire report. This is one approach. Allow me to introduce a different approach now. So let me take these ones out. Let's imagine that we have a clean box. So these guys, these paragraphs will remain the same. And we still need to talk in past simple tense. My very first sentence remains the same. However, if you're looking for a higher score, you need to add a little bit of challenge here. What's the challenge? Look at the years. Specifically, look at 2014. When you look at it, you realize that that is the closest these numbers are. In other years, there's always a difference. It's a visible difference between the numbers of closures and openings. There's a visible difference. But in 2014, that difference is not that discernible or visible, so it's hard to see. I want to use that as a turning point. So in one paragraph, I'm going to talk about anything before 2014. And in another paragraph, I'm going to talk about anything after 2014, especially that huge dip in 2015. How do I start? This time, I'm going to say that although shop openings was higher at the beginning, then sometime before 2012, the number of closures took over, and this process remained until 2014. So let's add some topics. So that's my overview. My very first paragraph is going to be about 2011 all the way to 2014. That is going to be this period. And I may have lots of ups and downs. And it's interesting because you can see the majority of fluctuation here happened for the openings. Now we can talk differently. All of a sudden, the line graph is now different. And we had a sharp decline for openings, and then it recovered, but maybe only was able to recover half the way of its decline. And closures, the number of closures remained relatively stable. Look, it started at 6,000, let's just say 6,400, and it ended at around 6,450 or 6,500. And it remained relatively stable with its peak that happened in 2013. And that peak is the highest throughout. I can use superlative adjective here. I can compare ups and downs between closures and openings, and they all can happen over here, over this period. That makes my sentences interesting, varied. I can use different grammatical structures. I can use comparative adjectives, superlative adjectives. These are all grammatical structures I can use and I can put in this paragraph. Now, what about here? As for here, we are going to start from 2015, and we're going to go all the way till the end of the period, which is 2018. What happens here? Here we have from 2014, we dived down for the number of closures, and openings had a steady decline in generally, with only one exception in 2017 that it slightly went up. You can also say that for the number, that's basically all the openings, and it ended in 2018 at 3,000. But closure is, in this one, the most interesting element because it had that huge dip and then skyrocketed back to recover almost all the numbers that it lost. and then it remained relatively stable towards the end. So that is, despite this one, that openings had the highest change, here closures had the highest change. And you can again talk about different, you can add words and elements to change how, to say how, words and elements about change, and say how dramatic the decline was, and how significant the recovery was. You see, I'm using a variety of vocabulary. I'm using wide range of grammatical structures here to show the maneuver, going up, coming up, going down, coming up, coming back up to its original place. These dynamics are very, very important and helpful to your report. And of course, I'm gonna end this by saying, yeah, there were fluctuations. Before, I'm gonna use 2015 as a reference, and I'm gonna add it here. Like before 2015, things were, I mean, the majority of fluctuations happened for the opening, the number of openings, but after 2015, that was changed, and the majority of shifts happened for the number of closures. That sounds like a little more challenging, but it's going to be an exciting way to write. And for those who want a higher score, this will give you the opportunity to show off your range of vocabulary and grammar, and also control over your sentence structures. This is going to be very helpful. This method will help you come up with better strategies and better control. And this will help you to compare both lines at a certain period over here and at a certain period over here. If you wish to see a sample done on this very report, on this rubric, you can click over here. If you wish to see other videos like this with a little apple over there that we plan essays, letters, or reports, click over here. And remember, eat healthy.